Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Everyman's Arsenal podcast, where we dive into the unique stories and perspectives of individuals who bring their own flair to the world of personal defense. And today I'm super excited. We have a guest who goes by the name of BonBonsnGuns on Instagram. And I'll tell you, I don't think she's your average everyday woman. So let's welcome Bonbon on. Bonnie, thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Well, yeah, just the patch will tell you I'm not so average today.
Yeah, she was telling me a little bit beforehand just some of the issues that she's had trying to get this scheduled and get her on the podcast has been some work, but we're very appreciative of her time.
Yeah, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, oh, it's a blast. I mean, that's I think Walt. You started talking with Walsh. I'm not sure how that connection happened, but I've been following you on Instagram for over a year, and it's always just, I mean, tons of laughs, and I love seeing what stuff you're cooking up over there. So it's always fun for me.
Yeah, thank you. I like to, it's a mix of training, mainly training, and then, mix it up with funny stuff, memes. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I like that.
So for those that may not know you, what's your background? I know a little bit more about you. Just I've been following you for a long time, but what's your background in the gun world and your personal background?
Okay, yeah, so I was born and raised in Italy. I moved out of Italy when I was almost 20. So I've been now in the US for, gosh, probably like 11 and a half years. And before that, I was Australia. I did some Dubai experience, Australia twice, back to Italy, but finally made it here. So, and this is really where I got into guns training. But it started really after my divorce. So it's kind of it's a product of the divorce or the experience I had in my marriage that got me to wanting to purchase a weapon and train with it.
Oh, okay.
So this is about 2018, so maybe like 4 years ago that I started kind of training. 3.5 years ago or so that I started training.
Okay.
And so that's how it got me started. Like I had a gun on me for like concealed carry for a while, and well, here's
Hi, kitty cat.
this is Betsy Ross.
Uh,
And I had a weapon for a while, and then I was like trying to find trainers in the area. I finally found one through a friend. My first training lesson, I was like, okay, this is it. This is what I have to do because let's try and put her down.
that's fine.
Yeah, so I realized just with one training lesson that, I'm here going around concealed carrying a weapon, but I don't really know how to use it proficiently and safely. So I committed myself to doing, I think I was doing once a month or once every 2 weeks. I think I was doing
Okay.
to going back to the trainer and doing a training lesson at least twice a month. So I did that for quite a while until I left California and I came here. And it's kind of the more I trained, the more training lessons I did, the more I realized there's so much to learn, so much I don't know, so much about safety and proficiency to be able to like carry confidently and safely because it's kind of like the first training lessons, you're a little bit scared of the gun. Like you can see the gun has control over you, where you want to get to the point where you have control over the gun because
Mm,
it's scary otherwise carrying
yeah,
if you're scared of the weapon you're carrying. That's not,
right.
yeah.
Well, I love that idea of what you just said of the firearm, the gun has control of you, and you need to get to the point where you have control over it. I've been in the law enforcement world for 13 years now, and there's people that I see regularly in my line of work that are law enforcement officers that have been law enforcement officers for years that I still feel like, oh, they're scared of this tool that they have. They haven't really got to the point, and even in law enforcement, there's not, I wouldn't say there's really good training. Like you go out and you qualify once a quarter, and that's maybe all the training that you get for the year, 4 times a year.
Yeah, and
So
that's a
it's,
requirement even for CCW. I call it CCW, which is the term they use in California, concealed carry weapon. I know here is
yeah,
LTC in Texas, so license to
okay.
carry. So yeah, the requirement for an LTC is the same. It's just go to a range,
Mhm.
indoor, shoot at a target, and that's it. You qualify. But
Yeah.
in the real world, and it's just scary because you see the majority of things happen outdoors, parking lots, gas stations,
Mhm.
around people around you. So the responsibility that comes with carrying a weapon every day is, yeah, it's just scary if you don't train to
Yeah.
be proficient with it.
Well, and it's interesting too because, you've touched on this a little bit already, but I think most people think of Europeans and they think, oh, Europeans hate guns, or there's not a lot of, as Americans, there's not a lot of foreigners that we watch on YouTube. Instructor Zero is the only one that kind of comes to mind
Mm.
of someone from Europe that regularly trains, and there's this stigma in America that Europeans are just, they're not in favor of guns at all. And I don't know if that's entirely true. I mean, at least you had some knowledge of them. It seems like before you came here.
Well, I grew up with kind of, we're not against guns. I think it's just a completely different culture.
Mm,
It's the American culture with guns is completely different from what European culture is about guns. Here, it's part of the culture, right?
yeah.
The whole Second Amendment, all of that. It's just intricate part of the whole American culture. But over there, not so much. I mean, people have guns, people have weapons. Like I have several people actually that I follow and they follow me from Italy. Like there's this Tactical Italy official is one
Hmm.
of the pages, and a lot of other people that in Italy that go to the range that train a lot. So we're not against guns. And in fact, a lot of people own guns. My dad had one. A lot of people I know own one, like my brother does. It's just,
Hmm.
I think it's the training culture is not as big there as it is here.
Yeah.
Here, there's so much training opportunities everywhere. It's over there, not so much, and it's harder to find that.
Okay.
But you can if you
Yeah.
want. It's just not as easy as it is here. Um, but I knew, like, I never really shot a weapon before I came here.
Okay.
So it kind of started here. And I think it just started with my first training lessons. I kind of fell in love. It's not just about for me training and being proficient and showing, trying to show others to just get out and train. I just fell in love with the whole training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get that. I think there's been times where I kind of go through a roller coaster, if you will, where I start taking some training and it's just like, man, it's been so long since I've had professional training. I love it and I want to do it a whole bunch for maybe a year or 2 years, and then it's kind of fall off the wagon and
Mhm.
life catches up with me. And it's something that I'd love to stay efficient on. And what you said earlier, there's a whole host of knowledge out there that we don't that I have no idea. Like precision shooting, never really looked into it, or the US, was it USPCA, USPSA, the
Yeah.
professional shooting guys. That's not something that I've ever really been interested in. But the more and more that I've trained, the more I look into those things and think that seems more in line with what you would face in the real world. You're not going to be in an indoor range and have a target face you and this perfect scenario happen in real life. It's going to be hectic. It's going to be crazy, and maybe we should train that way.
Yeah, and that's why I'm always out there. Like, yeah, training with professionals and training classes. It's not cheap. So,
Hmm.
like, I
Yeah.
did a bunch last year. I did a couple this year, but it doesn't just because you don't do that, it doesn't mean you can get out there and train on your own. Whatever
Right.
you learned from these classes or look at even other people training, maybe go to the range and try and repeat that, because like there are a lot of people out there that come from their own perspective, whether it's like you said,
Yeah.
precision training, whether it's competition training. It's very different from the tactical training. The way they
Right.
do things in the competition is very different from the tactical aspect of it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are so stuck in their own way of doing things that it's kind of like they think the any other way of doing it is wrong.
Right.
To me, it's not. If it's a viable and a safe option of doing something, you train it,
Right.
because you don't know what the environment is going to dictate when something happens. So why
Yeah.
not train every possible scenario? As long as it's viable and safe, train it. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, that's something too. And when I was in the military, the instructors, when they would go through the M4 with us, if you had no experience with the M4, they liked that more because there was no bad habits for them to break out of you.
Mhm.
So I think that's something that even civilians see in the regular world when they go out to training. If they've never trained before, they've never shot a gun before, those are probably people that are easier to train because there's no bad habits we have to break them out of.
Yeah, correct.
Now, switching gears a little bit, we talked a little bit at the beginning about you. I've been following you on Instagram, and one of your recent posts would be you got your American citizenship.
Yes, that was August last year. Finally.
So I'd shared with Bonnie, my grandmother immigrated from Mexico, and one of my favorite stories of hers, she would be what Americans today would call a dreamer. Her parents brought her over from Mexico when she was
Mhm.
2. When she was about 16, she got pulled over by a local sheriff deputy, and who she knew all the people in the town, but they asked her. Her name was Mary. They're like, Mary, can I have? I want to see your license, and she said, "What's a license?" She just didn't grow up in America. Like her parents didn't know to teach her that. And
Mhm.
her path to citizenship was one based out of necessity because of her upbringing. But I'm curious how your path to American citizenship went. Hi, Betsy.
she she gets a little jealous when I'm on the phone or talking to
Yeah.
someone on the computer. But thank you, baby. So I actually moved here through work. Whatever it is, 11 years ago. I think it was 2012. Yes.
Okay.
Moved here through work. So I've been with my company 16, 17 years. Started with them in Dubai, moved to Australia, and then from Australia, I asked for a transfer here, and they got me a transfer here. So I was here on a work visa, and
Okay.
then I think the work visa was valid for a couple years. They renewed it for another couple years. After that, I applied for a green card. So I had to wait the 5 years for the green card, and I finally applied for citizenship. So 10
Okay.
years later, finally, yeah. So the green card had to be done through my company because it was a work visa.
Hmm.
But then finally, the citizenship I was able to do on my own. Just apply for it, and yeah, one of the most memorable days. Absolutely.
Yeah. The picture that, if I remember correctly, your picture on Instagram was you holding an American flag and
Okay.
holding your
My
citizenship.
certificate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That was one of the best days, honestly. Just, I don't know. It's even like having family here telling me like I should move like overseas or something closer
Hmm.
to family. But I love America. I love living here. So I'm not moving.
Yeah, I spent some time. I haven't been to Dubai, but I spent some time in Qatar, however they pronounce it. I was there for a little over a year, and I've spent some time in Europe, Ireland, and Germany. And so I kind of I get it. But I grew up in America. Like I love it here. I love our culture. I love the Constitution. I love especially the Second Amendment. I'm a big gun advocate. But what was it for you? Not being from here, what made you want to pursue that, as opposed to your work visa's up and you move back home to Italy?
Well, I've like having lived in different countries, like I lived in Italy, but then
Hmm.
at the age that I moved, it was literally right after high school. Like I got my high school diploma and then I moved. So I had a couple work experiences, but it was kind of
Okay.
like the work that you do when you're like a teenager, right? Just
Sure.
so first of all, like, and then I moved out, and then by the time I was here, I never really had work, real, like professional work experience in Italy. And
Right.
it's kind of going back to that. I don't know. At this time, it's like it's gonna be a little very very different from like work culture and just professionally. Um, but also, like then I lived in Dubai. I didn't like
Mhm.
living there. It's great to visit, but I just didn't like living there. And I lived in Australia too, and I have family there. Uh,
Okay.
it never felt like home. None of those
Mhm.
places. I mean, Italy does, but there is not even that much work in Italy. Like a lot of people, a lot of young people have to move overseas to find work. A
Okay.
lot of them move to Australia or to England or other, there are some even move to America, but it's just not as work
Friendly.
work friendly, I guess. Yes.
Yeah.
Um, so I was here, and the minute that I kind of landed here the first time, I just fell in love with the country. So and
Oh, that's
it
good.
and it's hard to like put like a reason to it. It's just the feeling you get when you're somewhere and it just feels like home.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and it's tough for me because I feel I'm biased. I grew up in California. Uh, I grew up in California, and I mean California is not very pro gun at all. So I was kind of happy to escape there.
mm-mm,
But spending time in the military, like I don't know, I've my grandmother traveled a lot. My grandmother from Mexico traveled a lot, and she spent time in the South. And I grew up hearing all these wonderful stories of, America isn't this um, giant, predominantly racist country. It's a country that wherever you go, they seem to be predominantly welcoming. And I spent time in the South myself, and my experience was very similar to my grandmother's experience. People were very friendly and they were very kind and welcoming and happy to have me there. Um, but again, as an American, I kind of grew up hearing stories like that, and so the the stories that the stereotypes I think that are shared in the European circles are Americans are rude or they're fat and lazy, and so it's great for me to hear that your experience, you felt welcomed and you did enjoy your time here and you decided to become a citizen and stay. So
yeah,
that's
and the other factor too, having lived in, I think sometimes Americans that have born here and maybe haven't lived in other countries don't really realize how good we have it here. Having lived like in Dubai, Italy, Australia, it's the freedom that we have here is not a joke compared
hmm
to other countries. Um, every country has good and bad, of course, but the
yeah,
freedom that I experienced when I moved here and that I experience now, it's not a joke, and we have it.
yeah.
And we gotta, it's up to us to like keep it. It's something that in other countries I haven't experienced this, like what we have here. So we have it.
Right. Yeah. The other thing I tell people that's nice about America is pretty much any climate that you want, you can find in America. I'm in the Pacific Northwest now, and even in my state, Washington, on the west side of the state, if you want 6 months of rain and gray skies, you can move over to Seattle, and you get that. You want all four seasons where you have snowy winters and stupid hot summers, you can move over to the east side and you get it there. So even in our states, we have. I mean, it's just I don't know. But again, I'm biased. All my family's in America and Mexico. Um, I love it here.
Yeah, I know all my family's overseas. They're in Italy, they're in Australia, but same. I
You're
love it.
like, you guys can come visit me.
Yeah, and it's
I'm
hard to it's hard to explain to someone why you love it so much. I just do. It's Yeah. I'd feel completely lost if I were to like go anywhere else to live. Not
Yeah,
just I mean the shooting and the training is one thing, of course. I'd feel completely lost on that side, but just in general in terms of life, Yeah, this is it.
Yeah. Now, I think one of my things that I love about following you on social media is the amount of humor that you put into your posts. Humor seems to be a big part of I don't know what you show people. Like I was, I was showing my wife the video with it was a shot timer went off and you it looked like you were going to draw appendix, but you pulled out a wooden spoon and you threw it at the target. But I was my wife is like, "Who is this lady?" But
Oh,
what got you to interject humor or inject humor so much into your social media presence?
man, it's I think kind of humor based, like same with like training. The kind of I don't know, humor. I just love laughing. It gets me through my day. Humor,
Okay.
whether it's memes or kind of, it's like no matter how bad things get, you know, I gotta laugh about it, and it just helps you through life. It helps you through the bad times. It's not just it's having a positive attitude, and
Yeah.
um, and I don't know. Just I realized I think I started with a little bit of it, and then I realized that people actually, you make people laugh, and it's something. Being able to make people laugh, it means a lot, and people telling you like your humor and your memes kind of get me through the day or stuff like that. It's just I don't know. You can't put a price on that.
Yeah.
But I think the level of humor came kind of increased too after like my marriage and divorce. It kind of
Hmm.
helped me through that too. And I realized, you know what? Just even making fun of yourself first is,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, our one of our jokes at Thin Line Defense, if you look at our disclaimer at the bottom of all of our videos, it has there's a paragraph and it says something like, our views are not the views of any federal entity or military or anything like that. And then it skips a line and it says, remember, we're idiots. And that's the approach that we take to a lot of things of, hey, we're just regular guys. Like we're not trying to come at you and tell you that we're super secret special forces level 100 wizards. We're just regular Joes, and if stuff doesn't make sense to us, like we're gonna make fun of it.
Mm,
I don't know if you watched one of our recent videos Walsh did on the antimatter scope switch. He had like a I forgot what he called it, like a hand job counter. Anytime he made a joke about hand jobs, there was a little ding that went off, and it just was a ticker that continued throughout the whole video. Humor is a big part of our lives, and I think one of the things that what you were just saying, what I thought of while you were talking was humor really does bring people together.
mhm.
You could usually you could talk about your favorite comedy movies, and there's probably going to be some that most people are going to agree with, and laughter really does ease the tension a lot, and it
Mhm.
especially in today's news cycle where you're just there's a lot of doom and gloom that you're hearing. Humor is a great way to kind of bring everyone back to level-headedness if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah.
Like, hey, everything's going to be okay. Look, we could why don't we get together and let's make fun of President Biden together,
Yeah, and
right?
that's the thing is like you're not like sometimes we make all of these memes or like jokes that make fun of someone or something. It's not meant in a disrespectful way. It's just humor. It's kind of
Right.
I make fun of myself. I make fun of a lot of things, but in a it's just funny. I mean, that's I think we lost that a lot with all of these being
Yeah.
sensitive to like jokes or can joke about this, can joke about that. It's sad.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just sad. So
I mean, be
it's moving the laptop. Get it.
knock it off, Betsy.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think you're right. I mean, it's tough now. Growing up in the military in the early 2000s, humor, God, it was bad. I mean, we would haze people regularly. I would get hazed, like, but it was always it was kind of always out of respect. Like the saying that we would have in the military is, look, if we didn't make fun of you, it was probably because we genuinely hated you. Like
Yeah.
if we made fun of you, it was because we liked you. Like
Mhm.
that was just kind of the norm. And today's society, it's no, you can't do that. That's not normal. That's not appropriate. And so now everyone, I feel like, is walking on eggshells. Like, I don't know
Mhm.
what to say. I don't know what to do. And I love that you, like some of the other things that you do on Instagram is you'll take kind of semi-popular, uh, I don't know, videos, and
Trends or
then
something.
you'll reenact them, but using a gun or kind of making fun of what these people do. And um, yeah, it's great because it's, at least for me, I see that and I think, oh, this is exactly how military life in the early 2000s was just we would see someone and it's like that's dumb. I'm gonna make fun of it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's kind of good fun. It's not meant to like make fun of anyone in particular either. It's just sometimes it's just a funny take using what I know, like
Yeah,
in the on a range, in the training environment. And it's just it makes it funny.
right.
It's yeah, but it also like I think this kind of humor too is just realize you just be I was gonna say it's I lost my train of thought now, but just the
Well, you were
humor,
talking about
humor
like firearms training and things like that.
yeah, but just humor in a sense, even like first of all, like I make fun of myself, my
Yeah,
whatever I lack of, or whatever it is, and I mean if you can make fun of yourself, you're gonna be offended by anything anyone says.
right.
So, and the same goes to like, I think at the beginning it affected me a lot, or a little bit, or a lot, even like comments on posts,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're new in the whole social media,
Right.
environment, because there are always going to be keyboard warriors and people out there that will see one thing you do and just, insult you or repost and make a whole joke out of you. And I realized at
Yeah.
the beginning, yeah, it affected me, but now I just, who cares?
Right.
They don't know you, and you know what you're doing, and if you're true to yourself, yeah, you wouldn't take advice from these people, so
Right.
why take any of that stuff?
Yeah, we that's something that we've learned early on and talking with other friends of mine that also do YouTube stuff. If you let yourself get if you let the negative comments kind of seep in, it'll really ruin you.
Hmm.
And from my experience, my time in the military, my time in law enforcement, I feel like I'm constantly told how bad I am at work. And so it was very shocking when we would do a review on a product or something like that, and you read the comments and people are saying stuff like, "Hey, I really loved your review." It's like, whoa, hold on, positive affirmation actually feels some good. This is kind of a new world, but it feels good when people are saying things like that. You know, I genuinely love watching your reels and looking through your Instagram because there's always going to be something that makes me laugh. Like doesn't matter how bad my day is, Bonbon's going to post something and it's going to make me laugh.
I love that. Yeah, it's just I don't know, there's something about being able to like make people laugh, and I sometimes, I think the last one I posted is just I don't know, I think it was just a car in an accident, and it's like the I think it might have been like a cat or like something, just it looked like he was holding up the car, and it was like that's me trying to make you laugh no matter how bad
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is.
But
Yeah.
the other thing though is I look at your social media and I see tons of firearms training as well, and it's for me it's something for me to look forward to doing. Like, oh, I hope I could be that proficient someday in with rifle manipulation the way that you are, or weapon transition. Like seeing you do your weapon transition from a long gun to a pistol is always fantastic to see. Like I think there's uh, a lot of the stuff that you do that I think, man, I wish I was as good as Bonnie. So I'm curious with that in mind, how much time do you dedicate to firearms training? It seems like you're busy. Your house is full of kids. You got Betsy Ross jumping on your laptop. How much time can you dedicate to firearms training?
So I kind of committed myself to going to the range twice a week, and I am fortunate that I work from home. So, and I work on California time because that's where our headquarters are. So really, it's like 10 a.m. here. They're 8 a.m. So, I drop off. Now it's a little bit harder during, the Christmas break to get
Yeah.
to the range with the kids home every day. But otherwise, the regular schedule is, take her to the bus stop around 7:15, and then I just head off to the range, get there at 8,
Mhm.
and I get back by 10 o'clock. So
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm able to do that and squeeze it in with my work schedule, and then I get to work and go on with my day. So,
Yeah.
but I've committed myself to going at least twice a week, even if sometimes it's literally 30 minutes just practicing a little bit, and it's kind of low round counts. I don't
Yeah.
have to do that much. Sometimes it's maybe a little bit more depending on what I'm trying to train. But that's what I've committed myself to doing. And it's weird because every time I go, every time you train, it's like you realize, yeah, you may be proficient in some things, but then you see other people doing maybe something different, and you're like, well, I'm am I proficient? And I'm like, yeah, I'm proficient to the at the level that I'm confident that I know how to manipulate a weapon. If I'm carrying confidently and I know I can carry safely. But it's weird. Like the more you train, the more you realize there's like I'm like, I'm not good enough. Like I need to get better. I need to be more proficient. There are or even like there are other ways of doing this. Maybe there are better ways, maybe there are safer ways, or depending on the environment, or maybe there are ways that I can cut down on like unnecessary movements too. Just
Mhm.
things like
Yeah.
that. So yeah,
Now,
there's
with you being able to focus or to tell yourself like at least I'm going to the range at least twice a week. Do you plan before you go? Do you plan like okay, Monday night uh, I'm going to go to the range Tuesday morning, and when I go to the range Tuesday morning, I am going to practice reloads. I'm going to practice pistol reloads. Do you plan that far ahead, or do you get there and it's just kind of like, oh, I'm feeling like I'm going to do weapon manipulation today?
no, usually like because I'm always looking at like other people out there, like what they're training, or sometimes. So I always like the day before I know I'm going, I will like decide, okay, so like maybe I haven't done this in a while. I'm gonna go and practice this again, or I will plan what I'm gonna
Hmm.
do that day, so I don't get there and just do kind of waste my time or waste ammo on something.
Yeah,
But there have been occasions where like I planned to go there and do something, and maybe while I was doing it, I realized maybe you know what, maybe I had a malfunction, or maybe I had something happen while I was training. I realized, okay, I need to practice this. Maybe and I
yeah.
switch gears a little bit, but usually I always go with a plan on what I'm going to do.
Well, I love that.
Mm-mm.
That's inspiring for me because there's times where it's just I go to the range and I plan. Okay, today I'm gonna take my AR-10 out and I'm gonna zero in the optic. I'm gonna spend some time doing that, and I finish it early and I have this 40 minutes of free time. But I didn't plan anything ahead, so it's just like I don't know. I guess I'll just shoot my pistol, or maybe I'll do this. But I love the idea of going to the range with a purpose and having something planned out in mind so okay, I know my time window here is limited. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and then I'm going to get out of here. It seems very proficient way of training firearms. I love that.
Yeah, it helps with. I guess it helps with like even this time management while you're there. You know what you're
Yeah,
doing. You're focusing on a particular thing, and it helps. But yeah, it's happened that I just some days I guess I just like maybe didn't even plan to go to the range. So, but I
yeah,
feel like going, so I'll just go, and I get there and kind of decide on the fly. So
yeah.
yeah,
Well,
but
that's pretty much the gist of questions that I had for you, Bonnie. I really appreciate you taking some time to chat with us. For those that aren't following you, you should. Where can people follow you on social media?
just Instagram. I have my one page, BonBonsnGuns.
Okay,
So
and I'll put a link to that in our description below this video. Um,
when
yeah.
I booked my flights, so I'll plan to be at SHOT Show this year. My first time. I haven't been
All
before.
right.
So
Awesome. Well,
yeah,
we will. Are you going to be at a certain booth, or are you going to be just walking
um,
around enjoying yourself?
probably walking around a lot. I'll be there Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay.
Just on Thursday at 1 p.m. I'll be at the Huxworks booth.
Oh, fun.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, we'll have to stop by and see you while we're there.
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Bonnie, again, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I know you got Betsy Ross that's bugging you and wanting to get pet. You got kids' hair that needs to be done and get them ready for the day. So I appreciate you taking some time and spending time with us.
Yeah, of course. No, thanks for having me. It's been great.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
All right, everyone. That's it for our episode today. Hope you have a great rest of your day.